I'm Maurice Jager, and thank you for watching this LinkedIn Live where I with Ian. So we're gonna talk a little bit, and I'll fire some questions at him. But first, Ian, introduce yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do in life?
Hey guys, my name is Ian, and I basically help people to become naturally confident and comfortable on camera so they can make videos to connect with their audience, build rapport, and ultimately get leads from their viewership. Because if you're not getting leads from your videos, then you're not using videos to the ultimate potential. And in business, you can't survive without leads. So that is what I help people with right now. I'm in Brazil, and so it's pretty hot right now, seeing that it's summer. And that's pretty much my background, or pretty much what I do and where I'm from.
Cool. So how do you serve your clients? Like, what do you do? Like, take us through the process.
Basically, what I do is I like to think of myself as the kind of person that reaches into someone's mind and releases it from all the fears and the programming that they've had, not from society necessarily, but from evolution. Because most people think that you're supposed to naturally be able to speak on camera, but that is not the truth. You are programmed to run away from the camera because the camera poses a danger to your actual physical and social survival. And so there's a reason why everyone is absolutely scared of being on camera, and it has nothing to do with them. So one of the things that I get really annoyed with is when people give out bad advice to people who want to get on camera. So you'll see these advice online says, oh, you should just put yourself out there, just do the video. Imperfectly done is better than not it being done at all, right? And that the fear is just in your mind. Now, I understand that those advice are coming from a very good place. But if you don't understand the problem, then you're putting people in danger, because what happens is that when someone is on camera, in reality, they are not talking to you, they are talking to themselves. From your point of view, the viewer, it looks like they're talking to you, right? But from your brain's perspective, you're talking to yourself. And whenever you talk to yourself, that's an act of being crazy. So your brain knows that when you go talk to yourself on camera, thousands of people are gonna see you do that, and your brain is like shooting off all these alarm, like, don't do that, don't speak on camera, because if people think you're crazy, they're gonna cut you off from society, because our brains are not living in 2020. It's living thousands and thousands of years ago when we lived in small villages and tribes. And if everybody thinks you're the crazy person in the village, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get ejected from the village. You're going to have to fend for yourself in the wild, and you'll die. So this has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with evolution. And so what I do is I try to let people understand that everything they're feeling is actually the natural way of life. You're supposed to feel that. So if you're feeling the fear, you should feel happy that your brain is working the way it should work. Now, that being said, that's not very helpful to us. So we need to actually find a way to disable that part of your brain. This is the reason why not everyone is a good actor in Hollywood. This is why we revere certain actors as being really good, because they're able to become a different person, not only physically, but in their mind. Because once you believe something in your mind, it becomes you. And so they're able to hack their brain to bring that out of themselves. Now, obviously, we're not trying to be actors. We want to be our natural selves. You already have the ability to make amazing videos. If you can sit at coffee with a friend and have a very intimate, charming conversation with your friend, you have everything that you need to make a good video. The only thing we need to work on is just disabling that part of your brain that shoots off those alarms. And that's pretty much how I help my clients.
Cool. So there's a lot of story to tell. Like, what is the best story that you have that you experienced while working or in life? Like, give us something cool. What
So
happened to you?
I'll share with you something that I've helped someone with, and then I'll tell you my backstory, how I got into all of this. So as I was saying, when I first started out, I was working with this woman down in Australia, and she came to me and she said, Ian, every time I turn the camera on, I'm so scared, but people don't see it because she's very good at hiding her emotions. But as soon as she turned the camera off, she pukes literally every single time. Like,
Wow.
full puking. And I was like, you're the kind of person I need to help. And when I finished showing her a few techniques, like magically she just started making all the videos without any problems, like no problem at all. And so as long as you fix that problem at the back of their brain, everything works the way it should work. Now the way how I got into this kind of stuff is when I suffered from suicidal tendency from when I was really young, and I became very antisocial, very within myself. I never used to go out in society. I was very socially awkward. Even up to now, I still struggle with some of those things. Like even my speech, like I would use improper grammar and I would step over myself because for most of my life, I never spoke out loud. I was that guy in a room that had his hand over his mouth and spoke like this. And so it's just a part of my mannerisms. And so when I was 17, I started working at the bank, and people would say to me, "Oh, you have a great personality. You should show it more." And from my perspective, I never thought that people would like my personality because I was always within myself. But when you're working at the bank, you have to be that customer service kind of person. And so the banks usually put you through several training. And so I started to loosen up a little more and I started to speak out a little more. And then I realized that, hey, my life could be much more beautiful than just being this dark, depressive place where you're suffering miserably for reasons that you don't even understand. And instead of wanting to die every day, you kind of see like the hope on the horizon. But you are in that dark spot, but you don't know how to get to that part with light. And so what I did, I spent like 4 or 5 years just reading a lot of self-help stuff, how to open up my mind, because I've had this experience most of the time where logically I'm in one place, but then I'm watching my emotions react in a way that it should not react. And I'm like, why are you doing that emotions? I don't want you to do that. But yet I had no control over it. So I had like this split kind of personality where I'm logical and rooted in who I am, but then my emotions are doing something completely crazy. I'm like, I don't want that to happen. So I went on this journey to figure out how to control my emotions, how to get rid of like negativity, how to deal with all these self-hating stuff, insecurities. And a while after, when I was like 22, I started doing animation. So I started out in 3D animation, character animation, and one of the things that you had to do is understand how to read eyes, because when you look at animations, notice that you are looking at just flickering lights on a screen, colored flickering lights, but yet that thing makes you feel emotions. Why? Has everything to do with the eyes. And so what we do as animators is that we try to replicate real life in those characters on screen. So I had to learn how to read eyes. After I started doing that, I started getting contracts for television commercial, mostly animated stuff. But my work was so good. Most of these companies I worked with, like banks and restaurants and real estate agents, they said to me, hey, your animation work is great, but we want to use some people inside of the videos. And at that moment I went, oh no, I have to work with people. And I knew that working with people is much more tedious than working in animation, because when you're doing animation, you have full control. But when you're working with people, you can only get as much as they're willing to give you. And so when I did my first few commercials with people in it, I noticed that, oh my God, my work is terrible. Had nothing to do with me. It's just that beautiful people are still so insecure. And that was something I was not expecting, because you always see these really good looking model people and you think that, oh, they have everything figured out. You know, their life for them is going so great. But that's the farthest thing from the truth. And so when I was on set, I was like, you're smiling with your lips, but your eyes are completely showing something opposite. Like you can say one thing, but your body language is showing me something completely different. And because I had that background in animation, I could read it instantly. I didn't have to think about it. I just read it. And so what I decided to do was to teach them the same techniques I taught myself to become comfortable. And I was not expecting this result, but in 5 minutes, I got them to become so comfortable that they started looking like a natural. Now, I'm not working with professional actors. I'm working with everyday people, because when you're working in for local television, you can't use professional models. You have to use everyday people, because those are the people that your audience are going to relate to. And so because I was working with those people, I need to I needed to bring out their natural side of them. One of the things that you may or may not heard of is back in the 90s when photographers used to shoot photos, what they would do is that they'll shoot 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 photos just to get a few good photos. And the reason why they used to do this is because they knew that the models were not comfortable with them and the camera. So they were just shooting photos after photos for hours just so the model could become comfortable with the camera. And I was like, I'm not gonna do a 4-hour shoot to get 4 photos. I'm gonna teach you these techniques in 5 minutes, and I'm out of here in 20 minutes because I'm able to get that out of you. And
Yeah.
so that's pretty much how I started out. I just wanted higher quality for my work. And I know I look really young, right? But I'm gonna be 35 this year.
Oh.
And so I worked in television for about 12 years. So that is pretty much my background, how I came up with all those stuff. So I wanted to fix myself, and I did not expect I was going to be here helping other people to become comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally relate to like people like falling apart in front of a camera. And I shoot like business people and people who are not necessarily used to being in front of a camera. And I take headshots. So it's like shoulders up. So everything you have is the expression and the confidence level and the way that you appear in the picture, like how you want to present yourself. Like I always tell my clients, like, the best shot I take of you has like zero to do with my gear, my lens, or anything. Like every picture happens for 80% up here, because the way you feel is the way that you look.
Right.
So building that rapport and creating an atmosphere where people can really like be confident and just like give what they want to give to that camera and not freak out because it's like, oh my gosh, there's only 16 film on the roll, or like weird expressions and stuff. I tell people all the time, like, I delete it, but I'm now at a point where I don't even shoot it if I don't like it. So it's not a matter of just shooting a ton of shots and then going through them and, okay, this is gone, maybe gone. No, it's like I work towards an expression and then I'll take the picture. Like one of my friends tells me, like, I shoot for film because like back in the day you have like 16, 24 shots on a roll of film. And now with digital, everybody blasts film like pictures like a maniac. And I still shoot for film more or less, while I never shot film. I'm just like a very slow shooter. I make sure that it is right what I see, and then I'll just press the button and not like shoot a million things and hope there's something in there.
There's two things I want to add to that. One is that back in the 90s when people used to shoot their few thousand film, they actually didn't have the film in the camera. So they would shoot without the film in the camera, and the model did not know that. So that's something very funny I found out when I was studying photography and film. The second thing is that I always tell people that a viewer does not see a video. They don't see a photo. What they see is a human that's in the photo, that's in the video. So your job when you're getting on camera is not to make a video. What you're trying to do is to convey an emotion between you and the viewer. If you can treat the camera, well, not necessarily treat the camera, but if you can make a video and you are speaking directly to one viewer that's directly in front of you, then you are making a video that's of high quality. Because after a certain point, the viewer does not see the video. And so I often say a video is the closest thing that we have to teleportation, because you're able to put yourself in the same room as the viewer, because the viewer brain does not see the video. And after a while, you're able to rapidly build rapport with your viewer. I'll share some statistics with you. You are very well aware that when you have a blog, a written blog, if you're trying to get people to opt into your newsletter, you're going to expect a conversion ratio of about 2 to 4%. That's pretty much industry standard. And for most of the years that I had my blog, that was the numbers I was getting. Sometimes 2, 4, 5, 7%. You're lucky if you're getting 7% conversion rate. But when I started using video more strategically, my numbers jumped from those 4% that I was getting before to 30, 40, 50, 70%. Right now, one of my farms is getting 90% conversion rate. The people who see those farms and the people who gave me their email address, because The strategy here is that when you use video as an in-person tool, because again, the viewer does not see the video, then you're able to immediately reach out and connect with that viewer. And when you're able to do that, that person knows that you're speaking from a point of truth. You're being authentic. You're not trying to say things to them to make them feel a certain way. You're being honest with them. And so when you present a call to action to them, they're more than likely to go click on that link. And when they go to that page, they're more than likely to give you their email address because you already built that trust with them. They know you're going to deliver value. They're not going to doubt whether the thing that you're sending them is of high value. And when you do decide to send them an email afterwards, talking about something in your email marketing campaign, you're more than likely to get them to open that email because they already know you. So it's like the same thing as going to a networking event. Because if you meet someone at a networking event and they send you an email afterwards, you're more than likely to open that email. You're more than likely to reply to that email just because your brain feels connected to that person. And so if you start using video that way, you're going to notice that you're able to get leads from your viewers. And here's the thing, most people don't know how to get leads from their viewers, because if you're making a video, people are coming to you. Those videos are going out there. People are searching for videos. Basically, the traffic is coming to you, and all you need to do is take that traffic and put a system behind it and get those viewers into your sales funnel. Yeah.
Yeah. And like that's awesome. And I totally agree with you. That's why we're doing videos here on LinkedIn Live, to like get ourselves in people's LinkedIn feeds and give value and inspire people to maybe do something with the information that we're sharing. And we did a little pre-recording conversation, and you talked a little bit about how you record your videos, because you have a very neat process to it.
Yeah.
And like a context around why you do how you do it and the approach that you like use. Like, okay, give it to the people in like 30 seconds. Let's go. Like, because it's not longer than that, because it's super easy to apply.
So the way I have a very strategic system that I use right now. Now, there are many ways that you can record your content, but if you go look at my videos are very engaging. Like, I can get you to watch the starting of the video, I can hold your attention through the video, and then I can get you to the end where I'm giving you the call to action. And one of the easiest way I find where I am just talking and able to put things together is that I would actually open my editing software. I'm using one called Moviavi. It's fairly unknown, but why I'm using the software is because it has this way of recording your webcam. And so what I'm doing is I'm opening the webcam, I'm opening the software, and I would record like a 5-second intro, my hope, something to grab your attention. And as soon as I record that, I pull that into the software. And if that works, I don't need to record it. Then I go record the next section, which is a story that I normally share. Then I would record my story, pull that clip into the editing software, see if the hook and the story matches together. Then I go on to my actual content where I'm teaching you the moral of the story and how that links into my expertise. And then I take that and I drop it into the software as well. And now the only thing that's left for me to do is record the call to action. When I finish that, I pull that into the software. And the only thing I need to do from there is just make sure I go through the clip and cut out pieces if I take too long to get from one point to the next point. Just make sure that everything comes together. And that's when I just render everything up, out, put it on YouTube, let YouTube generate a subtitle for me, edit that subtitle in YouTube, download the SRT file. I can then upload that SRT file directly to LinkedIn, but I usually choose to burn the subtitle into the video, because now once I record that 1-minute video, which took me about 10 minutes to record, not a very long time, I'm able to distribute that video to multiple platforms. So right now you can't schedule videos to LinkedIn, so I manually do that. But I would use something like Hootsuite to publish it to a LinkedIn page, a Facebook page, a Facebook group or whatever. So I'm able to take that one video and distribute it to multiple platforms. Because I burned the subtitle into the video, I don't need to manually go to those platforms and put in the subtitle. And so I get a lot of mileage out of that.
Sure. That's awesome. I do that too. Like, I love the YouTube auto subtitle thing. It's awesome. Like, I'm interviewing people for my book. Like, I'm publishing a book in 2 months, and I'm doing the interviews like on camera, and then I'll just upload it into YouTube privately and let Google and the YouTube engine transcribe the interview. So I have everything in words, and I don't have to like listen and write and do all of that stuff. So that's another like gimmicky way of repurposing the content from video into writing.
That is true, because sometimes I do the same thing. Sometimes YouTube might not actually generate a subtitle for me. So I would actually play the subtitle and allow YouTube to, Google Translate to translate the audio to text for me. And then I just plug it into YouTube, and then YouTube would auto fix the subtitle to the video itself. And so it sounds like a lot of work, but you can develop 3 to 5 videos that you'll use in a week in about 2 hours on a Sunday, and then you're done there. You don't need to do anything more than that.
So, and where do you find your inspiration for your videos?
Comments. Like, people would ask me a ton of comments. People would leave things. People would people would just message me, say, hey, I'm struggling with this thing. But most of the times I get my content from watching people do video and see everything that they're doing wrong, and know that what they're doing wrong. I'm not coming from a judgmental point of view. I'm just seeing, because I'm an expert in my field. I have so much experience. These are not things that I would think about. So when I'm watching people, when I watch them make their videos, what I'm doing is that I'm looking for those themes, those motifs that people normally make, and then try to address those problems. And so if you go to any of my content, you'll notice that most of my content is geared towards the psychology of what it is like to actually make video, and never really about the technical aspect of video, because video is 80% how you feel on the inside. You get that right, everything else is going to be fine.
Cool. So that would also be the number one thing that you learned, like just like making, like looking at other people's content and finding a way that psychologically they can improve without looking at the technical nuts and bolts of like what's going on.
Exactly.
Because like I was in a conversation about creating video content and podcasts and stuff, and I asked people like, okay, how's your podcast or how is your video content doing? And like, I don't know, I talked to probably like 25 people, and 20 said like, yeah, I don't know which gear to buy.
And that's such a basic question, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like everybody's very concerned about this, but everybody has like one of these thingies, and like that's the start. Like, get a good microphone and you're off to the races.
Usually what I say to people like that, people are like, oh, what camera do I buy? What lighting equipment I buy? And the first thing I say to them, you're scared of being on camera if that's what you're thinking about. I'll share something with you. This is something you'll notice. It's not that people are procrastinating that's the problem. It's just that the fear it just cripples you from moving ahead. Because if you are stuck in a space of always trying to plan what you're going to do, then you're never going to have to go to that place where you actually have to face the fear. And the longer you can put it off by procrastinating in this stage that you should have already just Google something and just buy it and get it done, you're still stuck there, because this need to be professional is just a compensation for your insecurities. And trust me, you have the insecurities for a very good reason. They're protecting you. So I never want people to feel like they have a fear or insecurities and they're like failing. No, that's the way life is. You're supposed to have these things, but you're supposed to also recognize when you have them and try to figure a way out to get over them. But I'll share something with you that I shared with a friend last night. So one of my friends, she came over and she said, hey, Ian, I want to talk to you about this guy I'm seeing, right? And so we went out, we started having some beers and we started talking. And she's asked me, hey, what do I do with this guy? Do I talk to him? Do I not talk to him? Do I move on? What do I do? I said to her, whatever you're asking me here, whatever you're struggling with has nothing to do with the guy and has everything to do with the way you feel inside. Because what happened is that though she has like a goal, like imagine like she has a vision of what she wants for her life, right? And she's trying to orient herself to that goal, which we should be doing. But what happens is that our brain is not really designed for 1 million people. Like, we're designed to live in a small tribal group of 200 to 250 people, the max. If you notice on your Facebook or your LinkedIn, you have like a lot of people that you talk to, usually 100 to 200, but beyond that group, it's really hard to keep track who's who. And so our brain is programmed for that. So even though we live in a city of 1 million people, she's not seeing the option of 1 million people or 10,000 potential guys to date. She's just seeing that 1 or 2 guys that she's actually talking to. And so every time she's seeing the vision she wants, but then if this guy doesn't align with that vision, she comes from this position of scarcity, of fear. And so what I told her that what you really need to get rid of is the fear that that's driving you to make bad decisions, because you're never supposed to be making decisions from being angry or desperation. Those are just really bad ideas. And so I started explaining to her why she has fears and how to get over the fear. So I'll give you a little brief rundown of how fear works. So do you know what is our oldest enemy? Humans. Who is our oldest enemy? And most people don't actually know this, but our oldest enemy that we're very scared of are snakes. And last night when I said this to her, when I said snakes to her, she immediately jumped back. Like I swear to God, I've never seen somebody react to the word snake as she did last night. And immediately I went, that's why you're scared of snakes, because you have no control over the way that you feel about snakes for a very good reason. So Charles Darwin, when back in his days, he had a glass, and behind the glass he had a snake. And what happened is that he used to put his face very close to the glass, and the snake used to strike out at the glass. And what Charles Darwin was trying to do, he was trying to control his reaction to jump back, because every time it strikes out, he jumped back. And so he was like, why can't I control this with my brain? And what he figured out is that there are certain things inside of us that is hardwired it within our body. And so people like to think that their brain is only in their head, but your brain is actually distributed to your body. And so there are certain things that are programmed, like your reaction. You're just programmed to do something without knowing. And so I think our wiring for the fear of snakes is about 3 neurons long, which is very, very quick. So that's way faster than you can ever think about something. For instance, your peripheral vision is already programmed to detect snakes. So if you're walking down the road and you see something wiggly on the side, immediately you jump. This is why people are usually jumping from things that looks like a snake that isn't actually a snake, because it's wired into us. So here's my point. Back in the days, like millions of years ago, when we lived in trees, you only saw what's directly in front of you because you were in darkness, right? So if you're in a dark position and you hear something that's moving in the dark, or if something's there in the dark that you need to go get, like water or something, you're not going to venture out into the darkness, because what lies beyond what you can see is death, predators that's ready to kill you. And this is not like a little fear. Millions and millions of our ancestors died because of these reptiles. And I'm talking about cobras and snakes. I'm talking about anacondas and these big reptilian predators, crocodiles, and so on. So we have that fear for a very good reason, fear of the dark. Now, listen to this, Maurice. Where are your fears in your mind? Isn't it at the darkest part of your brain? It's like at the back of your head where all the darkness lies. And you know that because you can feel where your fear lies within you. And here's the other thing about the brain. You can't really tell, like your emotions cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is not real, which means that the darkness in your mind has the same fear of the fear of darkness. And what's in the darkness? Reptiles, predators. So in order to overcome your fears, you have to want to go to the back of your mind and face those dangerous predators that are there. Yeah. And so when people like pull back from a fear, it's not that they are weak or they're failing. You are programmed to do that because your body prefers you to live with fear than to die without fears.
Yep. So don't consider your camera a snake.
That is true.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the other thing too, because when you put your camera out there, you don't know who's gonna see it. So you have that fear of snakes, so you have fear of judgment, fear like the thing I talked about, social suicide. So they're like, it's just a multiple layers of fears that just compiling and stuff that just making you stop. And it's not you. So if you're looking at this video thinking, oh, I feel like such a failure, please don't feel that way. You are programmed to be that way. The only thing that you need to do is we've learned that you have two choices when it comes to fear. When you involuntarily meet up to a fear, you recoil from the fear. Like when you meet up something, like somebody, you meet someone, right? And they point out insecurity about you. Immediately you recoil, right? Yes. Because they point out something you're fearful of. But if you willingly go face a fear, then you overcome it. Because now you're ready, you're prepared to take on what's ahead of you. So the first step in overcoming any fear is not to push yourself into the fear and knowing that it'll hit you and you want to take the blow. Is that you want to be willing to go there and stand and take it. And so this is the last thing I'll tell you about fear. So there are irrational fears and rational fears. And I find the quickest way to solve any irrational fear is this, Maurice. And you can apply this to your life, to anything. I find that we have an irrational fear because we lack a plan. Meaning that how, when you say, for instance, you need to make a phone call to a client, right? And you have fear that this person would say no, right? All you're running through your head is just that how things could go wrong. But instead of doing that, what you can do is just make a plan. And so you want to map out how this call would happen. If you pick up the phone, if this person answers, this is what you'll do. If it doesn't answer, you'll say, thank you, I'll just call back. So you're mapping up what you would say. Now, if you get into the conversation with a person and the person accepts the deal or rejects the deal, all you have to do is plan out what you will say when they reject the deal. If they do reject the deal, now what you need to do is plan out how you are going to handle that by maybe go talk to 5 other people who might be your ideal clients. And see, so when you map out the fear, it goes away because now you have a plan. And that fear of the unknown just goes away.
Cool. So to finish this conversation, and thank you for being part of this awesome LinkedIn Live and the podcast later on. Where do you want people to find you? Like, send them to your LinkedIn if anybody's watching and want to learn more. Is that
definitely
can go?
I actually share most of my content on LinkedIn, and here's a cool thing that I did. I took all of my videos and I put a little GIF image of myself talking inside of a LinkedIn article, so you can see me talking a little bit for like a second or two. And so it's like a directory of all my videos, so you can look at the GIF and decide which one of these videos you want to look at, because it has the title of what that video is focused on. So you can just click on it and watch whatever videos that you want to watch. I have a lot of videos in there, so I can share that link with you guys. If you comment below this video, I'll be happy to share that comment with the link with you. But if you want to connect with me, just send me a request. I always send a message to people who connect with me. I'm happy to share this stuff with anyone.
Cool. I put it, if all goes well, it's put on the lower thirds in this video, so you'll people have the link.
Oh, that's awesome.
This whole video thing, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye, everyone.